Before her appointment as MEC for Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Nomusa Dube-Ncube served as a member of the Executive Council for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs for 2 terms since 2009. She has also served as South Africa's ambassador to the Czech Republic and is a former mayor and speaker of Durban.
Thank you very much, program directors, my sisters, Gugu, Mfuti, as well as Fifi Peters. I know that you will also, we will also have Nozipo Mbanjwa also as part of the moderating team. We do wish to greet you and thank you very much for welcoming us again. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of my leaders, the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation in South Africa, Dr. Naledi Pandor, the Deputy Minister of Communications, Ms. Pinky Kekane, my sister, Councillor Fawzia Peer. We also wish to acknowledge and thank the presence of Mr. Rakesh Wahida, his beautiful wife, Saloni, Managing Director of ABN, CD Wahi, Managing Editor of Forbes Africa and Forbes Women Africa, Renuka Methel, the MD, Ms. Roberta Naika, the Executive Vice Chairman of MasterCard, Ms. N. Kantz, and we are grateful for this partnership, the Vice President, International Development MasterCard Worldwide, Ms. Sayla Goss, the Senior Vice President and General Manager, West Africa MasterCard, Ms. Ebenihe. I also do wish to acknowledge all the councillors that are present here this morning, the Country Manager of South Africa at MasterCard, Ms. Suzanne, the Founder and Executive Chairman of Mbekani Group, Dr. Dlamini, our peace activist and our leader, Ms. Ila Gandhi, the Vice President and General Manager of HP Africa, Ms. Elizabeth Moreno, the President and the CEO of the South African Medical Research Council, Ms. Glenda Gray. Ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst our midst a lot of CEOs, a lot of boards, chairs of boards of various entities. We have a lot of leaders and the captains of industries. We have personalities of beautiful women that are present here, including the members of the media and the government official. I know that Ms. Kekane, as one of the babes of Fourth Industrial Revolution, we have brought our students who are doing the study on data scientists and 3D and all the things about the Internet of Things. And we have all these beautiful and wonderful women that have gathered here this morning. I could not stop but admiring the beauty that I saw and the energy that I saw when I arrived here this morning. Sanbonani. Sanbonani. We wish to welcome all the delegates and speakers to this edition of the Forbes Women Africa Leading Women Summit. This province has hosted the summit successfully in the previous years, and to which we are really indebted and we are so grateful to the organizers for really trusting us with this brand as KwaZulu-Natal. What is exciting about this summit is that it has become a regular feature for our calendar here in KwaZulu-Natal. The province, we have positioned ourselves as the home to international and national conferences alike. And we do have a reputation as an important venue for the high-profile national and international events that are hosted here in South Africa. And for that, we have many of you to be grateful for the hard work of putting ourselves out there and flying the South African flag, but also the African flag around the globe. I've always contextualized the importance we attached in portraying this province as the important side of exchange of ideas. We always want to be reminded from the platforms that are provided where we discuss that we aim at finding solutions to the problems in different parts of the globe. But also, as Fawzia said here before me, as well as our Director of Programs, they've said, that we here, as we stand here as women in this room, we also should remember that those of us that have been able to have a step in that boardroom, we remember those women who are still lining the streets, selling their vegetables. We remember those women who are lining the streets, selling, and also trying to make a living and trying to make the country and the families to tick. And to that, our main goal is to see Forbes Women Africa becoming the most enduring event. And we want it to be known as a platform for intellectual debate and spiritual bonding amongst the African women thinkers, intellectuals in the continent and in the diaspora. Program Director, I wish to pause to women and many of women and guest speakers that have come from different parts of South Africa as well as in the African continent and the diaspora, and thank everybody for setting aside time to join us here on this important day. The people of KwaZulu-Natal, especially us as women, are optimistic that your presence here today will usher in a new era of prosperity, of networking, of holding hands as women and saying, as sisters, the future is feminine. In particular, we know that topics under discussion and the lineup of speakers in display has got a strong determination to ensure that women remain in the driving seats of the socio-economic development. It should also be remembered, ladies and gentlemen, that Africa women in general have achieved heroism through a wide range of spectrum and actions since the dawn of the century. Here, we talk of women from Eritrea to Uganda, from Cape to Cairo. This continent owes its freedom to a list of women that is too long to mention. In the 17th and 18th century, saw the various women play important roles in shaping of our nation. I remember the women such as Mantatise, Mkabayi Kajama, and many others. Rosa Parks is that gallant woman who refused to give up her bus seats in 1955 and sparked a movement that led to the end of the segregation. Her courageous act fueled the civil rights movement and inspired Martin Luther King Jr. to get involved. Lillian Ngoyi was the first president of our ANC Women's League and was instrumental in organizing and leading the anti-pass march, which was attended by 20,000 ferocious women. Helen Joseph was a fighter for human rights who could have simply buried her head in the sand and enjoy the blissful life, but instead she chose the side of working with the oppressed. We have Abomama Oliver Tambo, Abomama Albertina Sisulu, Abomama Victoria Mxenge, Fatima Mie, Miriam Makeba, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and many others to mention, that those heroines of our struggle against apartheid have inspired many of us in South Africa and beyond the borders. How can I forget Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the former president of Liberia, who, by becoming the first African women head of state, instilled in women the invaluable belief that the sky is not the limit. Without attempting to unpack topics under discussion here today, I wish to point out that this summit, in celebrating the freedom of African women and people from the bondage of many oppressions, it is about also reawakening the spirit of sisterhood and strengthening the solidarity among the African women. We are here to remind each other that our fate is bound together. The summit gives us that opportunity to recharge, to redefine our steps in the fight for dignity of the African women, irrespective of which part of the globe we may be coming from. We have the opportunity here to look at the strength that we utilize to advance ourselves. We must point out the weaknesses that are hindering us from ensuring that we advance, but also we advance the African child. To remind one another that our struggle is not over. Despite the political freedom that we have attained, including the right to vote and participate in various institutions of governance in the land, the African people as a group still suffer from extreme poverty. We still die from preventable disease. We have a lower rates of life expectancy. So these are the issues that I believe will inspire us as women to say, despite all these challenges, despite everything that we see before us, it is true that the majority of all of us are still illiterate. It is also true that the majority of women are still trapped in those shackled. And it's also true, our brothers and sisters, that our uncles, our sons and grandsons tend to get sucked into the crime and drug abuse. We are experiencing the high rate of teenage pregnancies, with many girls dropping out of school. So as a way of kickstarting this day, as a way of recharging our batteries, and despite the African continent remaining amongst the richest country in terms of our minerals, most resources remain untapped or are exploited by the rich nations in the East or the West. So ladies, the summit must not be another talk shop. We must chart the way forward. That is why we thought we must have these diverse ideas, the merging of minds, so that we can all live here inspired. Let us draw inspiration from many women who brought about this freedom we are enjoying today. Africa must break down the colonial trade lines and begin to trade with itself to produce the goods for consumption in the continent and outside. It is also encouraging that this trend is becoming to grow, and it must involve the rapid development of the digital infrastructure, rail and road and transportation and logistic, instead of communicating via Europe capital or via other people. So I'm hoping that as we are gathered here, having the ministers, having the governors, the premiers, the mayors, and you, ladies and gentlemen, who are in this room, many women who will be watching this on various media platforms will say, because they are meeting at that International Convention Center, maybe something good will come out of these discussions. As women, we must ensure that Africa focuses on investment in the gross fixed formations that create jobs as opposed to the bonds and financial markets. We must revive and strengthen our agriculture. We must intensify and ensure that nobody goes to sleep on an empty stomach. The HIV and AIDS, associated tuberculosis and malaria are still the major killers in our African continent. This can only be reversed by a strong leadership, by strong collaboration, by strong women who would hold hands and stand up and be counted during those times or the challenging times that we're experiencing in the globe and also in Africa. We want women who are part of the summit to lead in pioneering solutions to the challenges that we are facing and the few of those that I've highlighted. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are very grateful that we are gathered here as women. Individually, we need to ask ourselves, what is going to be my role in the agenda of eradicating poverty, corruption, fraud, and unscrupulous looting of the public resources? What is going to be my role of holding hand of one or two of those women and say, I know where you can get support. I know where I can direct you to get the resources that you need for your business to thrive. Women in Africa must take a stand on those matters, as they have over the years been undermined the noble cause of freedom that our grandmothers fought very hard to attain. I've also stated in many other platforms that as part of our search for solutions for Africa, we need to encourage the twinning of the cities, but also use the agreements that we have of various cities, of various countries, and use those in the academic institution to partner amongst business fraternity as well, to partner amongst communities and share on the knowledge and the experiences that we have as various communities. In every platform where there are delegates from the African continent, I always state as well that sports, cultural exchanges must be used to strengthen the people-to-people relations. We have to work hard to ease the movement between African states and get crime prevention justice system to collaborate. The upliftment of our continent and the people in general lies in our solidarity and in the numbers that we constitute as Africa. Stronger lines of communications must be maintained with our African in diaspora as we continue to be inspired by our common history and our common heritage. Let us remember the words of our former President Mandela, where he said, and I quote, Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And please enjoy the hospitality of our province and the warmth of South African people. This is your home, and we are very grateful once more to the Forbes Summit Women Leadership Summit for really trusting us with this brand, but also we are grateful to all of you that despite your busy schedule, you've been able to come here and share your wisdom with many of the women that are here who are looking forward to be inspired, to network and say, indeed, we are going to stand up and we are going to believe, and we know every day as we wake up that the sky is not the limit. Let us break that ceiling. Thank you very much.